Greetings from Diane. So, hello everyone. Sometimes my students ask me, what is the difference between Alexander technique and regular mindfulness or meditation practices? And I will begin by saying that is a very sophisticated question because it implies that my students or clients understand the concept of body mind. And we in the Alexander technique are really concerned about our whole selves, our whole being, and not just acting upon our bodies. For example, if you were posturing in kind of the military stance and you pulled your shoulders back and pulled the belly in and started kind of marching forward in that military style, it is an image or a concept that a person has to have a little bit more control of themselves and, mastery and status and that kind of thing. And that is a great example of how the body really is not designed for movement, and it's acting upon the self. Right. So if you were to think about like a pair of long johns, right? That's from the early 20th century, but people would keep themselves warm with these long johns under the clothing. And if you were to put that long john on the floor, it would have like an expansive, free, lengthening, widening quality. All the little wrinkles would be out of the long johns. But if you kind of scrunch and squeeze those long johns together and pull in, that is a metaphor and image of how we pull down on ourselves. We pull down on our bodies. We scrunch our head into our neck. We pull our shoulders up. We squeeze and shorten those arm muscles. We squeeze and shorten the leg muscles. And this is a recipe for not having much freedom in our bodies as we do our daily activities. So Alexander technique is really looking at all of that. It's looking at the sophisticated body mind activity of becoming more aware of how you're using yourself, your whole self, your psychophysical self. So it's not trying to use the musculature in any way to pull on the body or compress or tighten or pull in. And the reason for that is the reason why Alexander emphasizes the freedom of movement of the body mind and bringing that body into a psychophysical whole is that that's really going to give us the most freedom. It's a skill actually that we're developing to learn how to mentally and physically, mental, physical, psychophysical, to be able to undo or unwind some of those habits, those reactions that we have that create like a limited functioning. So we're redirecting ourselves into balance and freedom. Okay, so in terms of mindfulness now, the subject of my talk today. So how can we use this mindful approach to the use of ourselves? Again, I just defined what we're going for in Alexander technique. How we can use that to really bring that balance and freedom into our lives, into ourselves. So I'm going to take you through what I would consider more of an internal practice today, a mindfulness or even meditation practice. So you can get more familiar with how you can take yourself into a place of ease, place of deep listening in your body, to start to elevate this body-mind connection. Okay, and we're gonna do something very simple. We're gonna do a body scan, and I'm going to take you into kind of an internal meditation space, which is still a mindfulness practice. So bring yourself to the front of your chair if you're sitting. Could also do this lying down by placing a few soft-bound books under your head and a pillow or a bolster under your knees so that your back is very, very supported by the ground underneath you. And I want you to feel at first where that support is. So in our mind's eye, we're going to go right, if you're sitting, you're going to go right down to your sitting bones and then shift your weight onto one sitting bone and ease the tissue of the buttocks over and relax and release, and then go to the other sitting bone and bring that tissue back. If you don't know where your sitting bones are, I have this little skelly here. The sitting bones are actually the very bottom of the pelvis. And you can see that the pubic bone is in the front and that my fingers are on the sitting bones, which are kind of in the middle of you. They're not too far back. And then the whole body is able to drop into gravity based on where these sitting bones are. So if you were to rock back, you would be on kind of on your somewhere between your sitting bones and your tailbone, and it makes the whole front of your chest buckle. Okay, and we don't want that. Neither do we want to be pushing forward into an anterior tilt, because that kind of squeezes the back muscles and pushes the spine forward. So both of those examples are when you're not sitting very easily on the sitting bones. And in fact, what we really want is to be on those sitting bones so the legs can just release away. So you're thinking, if you can see those horizontal femur bones or thigh bones, they're releasing forward out of the hip joints in towards the knees. And then we can just place our feet. This little guy doesn't do it very well, but we can just place our feet gently on the ground, feeling the soles of your feet using the ground, falling into the ground, whatever words that you would like to do to give yourself that feeling that you can let go of the feet and the ankles. And the ankle then works more like a hinge, and it stays very, very free. So does the knee. The knee joint stays very, very free because you're not pulling in or you're not squeezing in that lower leg to the hip joint. So as you can see, I'm working very physically within the skeleton, but we're also bringing our awareness to the body in the ability that we have to perceive and to feel and sense into our body. So kinesthetic means the feeling of movement. Kin means movement, and aesthetic is the feeling or the sensing of movement. So as I bring you into this easy position where you're just balancing on your sitting bones and letting your legs release forward and away, you can even lean down a little bit and bring your fingers to your shin bones and remind yourself that the shins are moving downward towards the ankles, and then the feet are under that, very open, very free, very, very much receiving the ground underneath you. Okay? So the next thing that we're going to do, we've widened between the sitting bones. We've brought our sitting bones to the chair, and we've allowed that weight to travel down all the way to the chair and then release into the chair. And we're reminding our legs that they don't have to squeeze in or pull back into the hip joints. Instead, they're releasing away. Next thing we're going to do is bring our hands to our head, and just place them very gently somewhere on your head. You can bring one hand to the back of your head and one hand to the bridge of your nose if you want, or you can just bring your hands to the side. And we're reminding ourselves that we have a balance of the head on the top of the spine, and there's a gentle rotation of the head on the top of the spine if you're not squeezing your neck muscles and if you're not pulling on your head. So an example of pulling on the head would be to lift your chin, and this whole head in Alexander language is being pressed back and down with a lot of tension on the back of the neck. So we don't want to do that. We want to release that head into an easy balance on the top of the spine, and then just imagine the head floating upward. So it needs that forward rotation first. This is something that tends to be very confusing for new students of the Alexander technique, but we're releasing the head up off the end of the spine and then just giving time to allow for the spine to get a little bit more buoyant. This is a real secret of the Alexander technique. You're not pulling on your body. As I said in the beginning, that kind of military stance, you're not pulling up into the body, but instead you're orienting the head to the spine and you're feeling the weight of the skeleton going down to the chair without crunching and buckling the spine or just, dropping that spine. You're very, very free and up on the spine, and then giving a gentle reminder that the head is always leading the spine into length. Okay? And then one more concept. I want you to imagine your back releasing into width. So we have the head leading the spine into length, and we have the back relaxing and widening and releasing into width. And then this gives a beautiful platform upon which the shoulder girdle can expand. So the shoulders are actually resting on, there's a bone-to-bone connection here at the sternum. So the collarbones can widen and expand. There's a little bit of a release when you do this. The collarbones widen, the shoulder blades are in the back of you, and they're just relaxing downward into kind of the tissue of the back. But the back is spreading like angel wings, opening out from the middle back out. And the arms can just rest on the joint. So the arm itself is resting from the joint, which is underneath the shelf of this bone, which is your scapula. It's actually in the back. Collarbone only goes to about here. So the arm is relaxing. You can feel a little bit of weight in your elbows. And then just placing your hands on your thighs with the palms facing upward. And I know I've said a lot, so we're going to just relax and breathe. Letting the ribs release a little bit, feeling kind of the inside of your torso, that whole volume of your torso. And we're going to start to just notice your body three-dimensionally, breathing into your ribs. And for this part of it, you can actually close your eyes. Sometimes we can feel into the movement, the kinesthetic movement of the breath with the eyes closed a little bit better. And in a pure Alexander lesson, we would keep the eyes open as well, so that you're also seeing the room you're in, being able to really be in the space, as well as feeling into your body. So just take your time feeling into that. Not to change anything, not to do anything, just notice your breath, the rhythm of the breath. You may feel it more in the ribs. You may feel it more in the diaphragm. Diaphragm is actually going down on the in-breath, allowing that air to come in, and it's releasing upward a little bit on the exhalation. And then as we do this mindfulness practice with an Alexander emphasis, you're just leaving yourself alone, paying attention to the balance of the head on the top of the spine, and giving that gentle intention for the spine to lengthen, and the legs to release away, and the feet to be grounded. And see if you can release your ribs a little bit more. The ribs are opening on the inhale, and they're relaxing on the exhalation. And then the next thing that we're going to do is what we call the whispered ah in Alexander technique. Again, with eyes open or closed. We're going to breathe in through the nostrils, and then opening the mouth, breathe out through the mouth. Pause at the end of the exhale, and then wait for the spontaneous movement of the breath in. And opening the mouth on the exhale, let that sound come out. Ah. It's just a whisper, or maybe you can make a vocal sound if you like. Breathe in. And breathing out. Closing the lips on the inhale, breathe in. And I'm going to add one more thought to this as you continue your inhale and exhale. I want you to think of something beautiful or arresting, like by looking at a beautiful painting, and allow for an inner smile, a joyful presence to come to you. Keep going with the inhale and the exhale, whispering ah, wherever you are right now. And one more time, breathing in. And then closing your lips. And let's just do a few breaths in and out through the nostrils to close our practice today. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I invite you to do this practice first, sitting in the chair and feeling the sitting bones, feeling the ease of the neck and the forward and up of the head, the lengthening of the spine, the back opening and widening like having angel wings, letting the shoulder girdle rest, widen. And then allow a few of these whispered ahs. And see what happens to your body if you settle a little bit more. If maybe you feel just a little bit more ease in your body. And then as you open your eyes and receive the room, see if a little bit of your awareness and attention can stay with your breathing, stay with your body without pulling down or scrunching in, and allow for the body to open from the inside out, giving yourself that little bit of an awareness exercise. And then when you get up, take your time and see if you can bring a little bit of that awareness back into the use of yourself while you go into your day and do your activities. Thank you very much for practicing with me today. This is Diane from healingintoabundance.com. Please visit my website. I have some beautiful morning rituals to do that can help you start your day. And guess what? The Whispered Ah is one of them. Just a little message for things to come. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.